Again, good evening, everyone. I'm Daisy Holmes, President of the Women's Forum of New York. And to everyone here and to everyone joining us by Zoom, welcome to the 2025 annual meeting, which I'm now calling to order. Tonight, we come together to reflect on a spectacular year and look ahead at an even brighter future. Our journey has been marked by remarkable accomplishments, and this evening we celebrate not only our milestones, but also the people who have made it all possible. Our social media and communications manager, Naja Pazant, created that opening video showcasing all the activities in 2024. It was a notable year in the history of our storied organization, the 50th anniversary of our founding in 1974. We celebrated in numerous ways. Of course, hosting the IWF Global Leadership Conference in May. And I wanted again to just thank the members of the steering committee listed on the screen, and especially my co-chair, Linda Willett, for the tremendous amount of work that went into making the three-day conference such an overwhelming success. There were over 1,000 conference attendees, with representatives from every single one of IWF's 176 forums, but we had 162 members from our New York colleagues. And it was a tremendous feat. We hosted 81 dine-arounds for around 900 guests. Most of the dinners were catered by Liz Newmark's firm, Great Performances. Fortunately, Liz is not here tonight, but I just wanted to, I won't give her a hug and thank her and just recognize that the conference with IWF and with the award that was presented to her at the conference, she received the Women Who Make a Difference Award, was well-deserved. Also, another member of our forum, Mina Tisher, received a Woman Who Makes a Difference Award, and congratulations to them both. I'm really proud of the event that we produced and grateful to all who attended and helped make it happen. Thank you, everyone, and please join me in a round of applause to celebrate our success. Of course, none of this could have happened successfully without the dedicated leadership of our forum member and past president, Carolyn Carter, who just completed her 2-year term as IWF president. Carolyn's guidance ensured the conference set a new bar for excellence in IWF programming. Carolyn is here tonight, and I'd like to welcome her to the podium to provide additional remarks about the conference and an update on IWF. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Well, good evening. As Daisy said, I've just completed my 2-year term and as IWF Global President, and without a doubt, the highlight of it was the conference we hosted here in New York. Now, when Linda Willett and I committed to this conference in 2017, our reasoning was very simple. We had to do something spectacular for our 50th anniversary anyway, so we might as well share it with the world. And the worldwide feedback on this conference was really extraordinary. As Daisy said, we raised the bar on content, on entertainment, on experience, and the backbone of experience is the participation of so many of the members. And all of the efforts, every forum, host forum, tops up their conference. But I think New York did it in a spectacular way. And everybody just felt, wow, that's the way to do it. New York shows how it's done. It was the largest, which is what we set out to do, right? Okay. Our conference was the largest gathering in IWF history. As Daisy said, the most members, the most forum, and the biggest complaint, other than New York City traffic, was from people who couldn't get in. We capped it at 1,000 members because we simply couldn't manage dine-arounds and behind the scenes with any more. And we still had a waiting list of 600. So in addition to all the members that Daisy thanked, I'd also like to acknowledge those members, some of which are in this room, who made the program so successful. Susan Bird, Deb Jackson, Donna Shalala, Angela Diaz, Susan King, Janice Ellick, Edie Weiner, Joanna Massey, Felice Axelrod, and of course, Muriel Fox. Because I have always believed our members are our story, and we learn so much by listening to each other. So, the Women's Forum of New York is the OG, the birthplace of an idea powerful enough to travel the world. So I'm just going to give you a little quick update on the world that we've inspired. Just some vital statistics, and the vital signs are very good. Kels, let's first talk about growth. All right. IWF is the only global professional women's leadership organization with 50 consecutive years of growth. Those early years are the decades, the most recent years are there. See, we've grown about 15% in the last 5 years, and that comes from stable and growing forums like ours, okay, as well as the addition of new forums. So right now, today, we have over 8,300 members. And we've added 4 new forums in the last 2 years. IWF Colombia, based in Bogota. IWF Northern Italy, based in Milan, and announced in Hong Kong. IWF Peru, and IWF South Korea. So now we are 78 forums in 35 countries, and the New York remains the first, the OG, and the largest forum. Now, IWF is not an organization that seeks to be as big as possible. Maintaining membership standards is really essential to who we are. So healthy growth means more members that are truly leaders in their field, and markets that have enough women to, at the top of a broad swath of professions, to sustain a vibrant organization. And all right, that means that we really see this organization reaching a peak of about 50 countries and about 10,000 members. Our identity as a global community is really what sets us apart. And the biggest way that global community is brought together is through the international conferences like the one we hosted in New York. Now, 2 years ago, when we met in Detroit, New York was the only other conference in the schedule. Today, the conference pipeline is confirmed through 2028. So here's very quickly some dates and locations that you may like to think about for your own personal calendar in the years ahead. Okay, 2025. All right, it's going to be spring in Seattle, and registration for this conference is already opened. And in November, it's going to be South Africa. Both of these conferences are going to be terrific. Let me tell you, the South Africa conference in Cape Town is really shaping up to be amazing. So if you want to go to Cape Town, this is the time. Looking ahead to 2026, London in May, Denver in November. Looking ahead to 2027, Amman in May, fingers crossed, and Washington, D.C. in November. And 2028, Los Angeles. If they can host the Olympics, they can host us. So there's a lot to look forward to. I wanted to say that many of you probably know the new incoming president, Kimberly Cooper Jacqua, from IWF Oregon. She's been on my board for the last 2 years, and she's absolutely going to be terrific. And the other thing you have to know is that our forum will still be represented on the board because past President Doris Meister is now also an elected member of the IWF Global Board. So there's a lot to look forward to. And thank you all for everything you've done, not only for our forum, but for IWF.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. That hardly seems sufficient, but for everything that you've accomplished during your 2 years, I'd like to congratulate you again. So throughout the 50th anniversary year, we continued to produce signature member programs and events. We awarded 20 new Education Fund Scholars and produced a fabulous Ellie Awards luncheon. Okay, if you look up on the screen, you can see we actually honored the decorated activist and Paralympian Scout Bassett, and we featured a conversation with Dr. Sherry Blowett, who is also a Paralympian. The New York Forum's achievements didn't stop there. We also sponsored a fellow in the IWF 2024-2025 Leadership Fellows Program. Tammy Tibbetts, co-founder and CEO of She's the First, is our new fellow. I had the pleasure of introducing her at the December holiday party. We also happen to have a second fellow who is from the New York region, and she is Abby Griffith. She's an MD at Edelman. And we have great aspirations for their contributions to our community and look forward to their influential work in the coming years. As I've said before, 2024 was a remarkable year for the New York Forum. The committee chairs will provide details on our programming and membership activities later in the program. Looking ahead, we have some exciting developments to share for this year. For instance, we are thrilled to announce that the Women's Forum office has just moved to a new location at 1 East 53rd Street, right on the corner of Fifth Avenue. The relocation comes with numerous benefits, including significant reduction in our monthly rent costs. This strategic move not only supports our financial health, but it also provides us with a first floor space that we can use for programming and for meetings. The new office space, generously facilitated by the William S. Bailey Foundation, reinforces our commitment to creating an accessible and collaborative environment for our members. The new space will also provide us with the opportunity to host events and host some of our meetings there. We are pleased to announce that Forum member Barbara Van Allen recently signed a lease in the same building. I think we're even on the same floor, for the Economic Club of New York's office. We have our Forum Secretary, Jessica Porter, to thank for connecting us with the Paley Foundation and securing the new office space. Jessica's organization, Arts Table, has been a tenant in the building for many years. We're very grateful to Forum member Jen Stone of Robert A.M. Stern Architects for her guidance on this project. Another initiative that we're launching this year is the creation of a new flagship event. Our goal is to create a new event that engages with and appeals to a wide range of our members. We're looking for your valuable input to share this event and to ensure it meets the diverse interests of our community. Initial stakeholder interviews have been completed, and a survey will be distributed to everyone to just gather your feedback. In addition, we're pleased to continue our tradition with the annual Ellie Awards luncheon, which is scheduled for Monday, June 9th at the Plaza. This event is a cornerstone of our yearly activities, and we eagerly anticipate your participation. So please save the date and stay tuned for more details. We will now move to the presentation of committee reports. I invite board member and Education Fund Committee members and are asking to update us on the Education Fund activities.
It's good to be with you all tonight. I'm sorry that Elaine Wood could not be with us, but I'm pleased to present the report on her behalf. And of course, I want to thank Elaine for her work as chair of the Ed Fund Committee and acknowledge the work of all the members of the Ed Fund Committee. We've had a busy year. You're going to see the names of all of them on the screen. The committee oversees all the activities involved with our scholar program, including application criteria and guidelines, college outreach, review of all the applications, and the selection of the final 20 award recipients. We've had a lot going on this year. I'm thrilled to share all of it with you tonight. So last year, Malva Rabinowitz launched a renewed college outreach subcommittee. They are spearheading efforts to engage with college representatives and increase the awareness of our award program on their campuses. The committee has successfully created new connections to numerous college officials We've been giving those updates in the context back to a database that we have at the Women's Forum to ensure the application notices reach the right people at the schools. It's an ongoing challenge, as you can imagine, since those roles often turn over. We're starting to see the fruits of our efforts and are excited to see applications are already arriving for this year. I was very pleased to collaborate with my fellow board member and Ed Fund committee member, Melinda White, who's here tonight, to create the framework for a new scholar mentor program. And I want to thank the rest of the committee because we had a really thoughtful discussion and they gave a lot of good feedback on the new program, which we launched at the end of last year. The mentor program is designed to ensure that our scholars have the option of continued support from us by connecting scholar alumni to forum members to be available as resources to them. The scholars get a packet of information and it includes the list of all the forum volunteers with a short bio and photo for each, our contact information, and areas that the volunteer can provide support in, like resume review, role play interviewing, education, women's advocacy. Scholars can reach out as needed to any of the volunteers for support, and it may be a one-time ad hoc kind of connection, or it even could evolve organically into a more ongoing relationship. And in the future, we're going to evaluate the program to see whether we want to expand or enhance it so that there are more opportunities for post-award support for our scholars. So thank you to the members who have signed up so far and have graciously offered their time and resources to support our scholars, and to Naja at the Women's Forum office who's helping us coordinate these efforts. So I think we have the next slide. Thank you. So due to scheduling changes, Accenture generously hosted our Salute to Scholars program not once, but twice in 2024. And I want to offer our collective thanks, as you've just done, also to forum member Laura Peterson, who facilitated both events. Laura and the great team at Accenture created wonderful evenings. It took place in a spectacular event space, great catering. If you haven't been, this is it's a highlight of my year to go. I would definitely recommend it. The events were very well attended by our scholars and their families, which is one of the best parts. They had a wonderful time. I'd encourage you to join us. It's truly inspiring and joyous. It's a lovely way to learn about the work of the Ed Fund and to meet our scholars, and as well as their really proud families. Okay, so what else is new for the Ed Fund? There's actually more, let me tell you. Last year, we reviewed data from our college networks. A decision was made as a result of that to lower the age of eligibility for education fund applicants from 35 to 25 years of age or older. So this actually better aligns with the definition of adult students that has been in place with colleges and should increase the number of submissions we receive, which has been on the decline since COVID. There were some additional adjustments we made to the requirements to accommodate the needs and unique challenges that our applicants have by streamlining some of the administrative burdens on them throughout the application process. And special thanks to committee member Angie Kalmuth for sharing her valuable expertise and knowledge with the rest of the committee and in championing these important changes we put into place. So a quick little anecdote for you. I remember going to an Ellie Awards luncheon many years ago before I joined the forum. I was Linda Willett's guest, and the late Governor Ann Richards spoke to us at that event about the value of education. And then she pulled out her checkbook and her pen while she was standing at the podium. And she wrote a check to the Ed Fund while she was standing there and told us that she kept adding zeros as she was talking. Some of you may remember this. She also asked all of us to pull out our checkbooks and do the same. And lots of us did. It's a brilliant approach. Remember when we all carried checkbooks around? Don't worry, I am not going to ask you to do that tonight. Though, of course, donations to the Ed Fund are always welcome. I am going to ask you to consider supporting us in other ways, though. So here's the ask. We are currently looking for more forum volunteers to serve as readers for the applications and help us select the award recipients. So if you're interested, please contact Kelsey or Elaine, but you have to let us know by February 1st. That's also the deadline for applicants for this year. It is really not a huge commitment, but I will tell you it is a hugely rewarding experience. I promise you that. So quick show of hands. How many of you had valuable mentors you turned to over the years to help you navigate? And maybe still do. Yes, all of us, I'm sure. And I actually have a few of those mentors right here in this room. You know who you are. Please give some thought to joining our mentor program if you haven't already. Help us lift up those scholars who may reach out for our wisdom and our experience and our support. And of course, please let us know if you want to join the committee. There are other ways to get involved. Thanks so much, everyone.
Okay, so thank you for that report, Zan. I will say thank you again. In 2024, the focus was on celebrating the 50th anniversary and hosting the conference. We thank, everyone who was involved, and many of our own programs highlighted the 50th anniversary and celebrated our founders, including an evening and very personal remembrance of Forum founder Eleanor Guggenheimer. Remembering Ellie, organized by Dee Dee Bartlett. An interview between Marcy Sims and Forum founder Muriel Fox discussing Muriel's newly published autobiography at our midsummer reception. I'm going to ask Felice Axelrod to come up and update us on some of the programs that we experienced last year.
Hi, everyone. As Daisy and Carolyn said, we spent all of last year and the 5 years before that preparing for the conference. And I have to say that I thought it was the best conference I ever went to. As in spite of the 50th anniversary, and in addition to, we had a whole year of incredible programs. We had a program about Ellie Guggenheimer, who's the founder of the Women's Forum, and it was called Remembering Ellie. And it was organized by our member, Dee Dee Bartlett. There was an interview between Marcy Sims and the founder, one of the founders of the Forum, Muriel Fox. And she had just written an autobiography, there she is, about the Forum and her experience there. Then we had Nellie Barrero and Pamela Craig, who are not only our members, but our friends. And they had a conversation at Accenture in celebration of the publication of Nellie's book, Unwavering. EY generously hosted us again for a partnership program, which featured a panel program entitled Empowering Leadership, Navigating Geopolitical Risks with Vision and Vigilance. Our board member, Zan Raskin, who you just heard from, continued the Women in Business Breakfast series this past year, and it featured an in-person event focused on nonprofits, moderated by our member, Jocelyn Rainey, and hosted by Amalgamated Banks, thanks to our member, Sabrina Stratton. And another virtual program was entitled Politics in the Workplace and was held in October in advance of the election. We had 3 performing arts programs. We had 2 shows on Broadway, Suffs and Left on 10th, and they were both they're both produced by our member, Darryl Roth. And we also had a special performance of Cats at the new Perlman Performing Arts Center downtown. Our members were also treated to private showings of some fabulous jewelry, Paspali pearls at the Wall Street Hotel, and the Sydney Garber collection on Madison Avenue, which was arranged by our member, Colleen Cashin, who is the president of Sydney Garber. And our annual event was held at the New York Botanical Garden for the train show. And our last event was the holiday party we had at Lincoln Center at the Kaplan Penthouse. Thank you all for those who helped us this year. Thank you all who gave us suggestions and connections. And if any of you would like to join the program committee for 25, please let Susie know. We're putting together a very good program for 25, but we want to add to that. So thank you for your help in the past, and I thank you for your help this year.
Thank you, Felice, for your commitment and dedication. And thank you to everyone who helped secure the behind-the-scenes venues. Oh my goodness, the feedback on those was just excellent. Many of you served as hosts, escorting like the out-of-towners to the venues. So that was a treat as well. Now I'd like to invite Anique Lapointe to come up. She's our treasurer and chair of the finance committee, and she's going to provide a financial update.
Thank you, Daisy. First of all, it was a pleasure to assume the role of treasurer over the last year. And I want to thank you all, the member of the Finance Committee. You should see the name while I'm speaking. And I want to thank also Susie, who's doing an amazing job, and she's making my life so easy. So thank you so much. Last year, the most significant revenue and expenses, I'm not going to be popular. You heard it all evening already. It was the IWF 2024 conference, clearly. So we're going to review high level the numbers with you tonight. So as the host forum, we had to raise, first of all, $250K. Okay, to give IWF the support for the conference. The forum was able to use any excess funds to raise financement and the support of the conference. Over the last 3 years, we were able to raise $850,000. So thank you to all of the member in the room and all of the company that you work for to help raising this significant amount. In addition to the $250K, New York also had to cover the cost of the sponsor benefit, and it was $178,000. So you can see on the chart now that the excess fund that we raised, we were able to help during the conference. So the budget for the gala allow us to pay for the entertainment and the flowers. If we're looking at the budget for the global leaders dinners, it allowed us to invite the past president and all of the member of the current board. The budget for the opening night reception allow us to invite all the members free of charge, as you're aware. And the dine around budget, we allowed us to reimburse the host for the dine around dinner. We also produce a teaser the year prior to the conference. It was a video that was seen in different city. I think we already shared that with you, so that was part of it. The conference planning committee too did an awesome job, and you probably saw the nice scarf that they produced for the 50th anniversary, and it was designed by one of our member, Mi Jong Lee. So hopefully I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Sorry for my French accent here. The remaining revenue was at $137,000. So we were able to put that towards operational expenses. Switching a little bit, so you can see on the next slide, we continue to keep two investment portfolio at separate and segregated account. It's helped us managing and having a full transparency on the money we raise and also the scholar program. So you can see also the resume here, and both investment account they remain strong. Lastly, for the first year, we merged a legal entity. We only have one this year, so it's taking us a little bit more time to close the books. So as of today, the books for the prior year are not closed yet. There's no material issue or so on. It's just taking a little bit more time. It should be finalized by the end of January 2025. We'll review everything and it will be submitted to the board. That's it for me. Thank you.
I invite Kirsten Barnett, member of the membership committee, to the podium to present a summary of last year's membership activity. Kirsten?
Thank you. Thanks, Daisy. Jocelyn, our chair, couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to present on behalf of the membership committee, but want to thank Jocelyn for chairing this year and for my fellow members. I think, everyone up here. Last year, we met our goal of welcoming 50 new members. Hopefully, many of you are in the room tonight. You'll see the names and faces of our new members up on the screen. We're going to have these rotating while I'm speaking. Going into this year to 2025, we have a strong pipeline of potential candidates, and we have nominations already submitted for review by our membership committee and approved candidates scheduled for upcoming meet and greets next month. In 2024, the membership committee continued to work on updating and clarifying the criteria and parameters around membership specific to industries to help all of our members guide them when considering women for membership. The new criteria can be found on the website, along with the new member nomination form. And as always, we encourage all of you to take time to look at that and think of women in your network that might be good candidates. You can nominate one, many, but please reach out to us if you have any questions about the nominating process or potential candidates for us, and we can help you with that. We're also happy to review a potential candidate's qualifications with you first, if you're more comfortable with that, before inviting the candidate. And I'd now like to invite all of our members who are new, who are here tonight, to stand. We can give you a welcome round of applause. New members. Welcome. So please, all of you, introduce yourselves to our new members at the reception afterward, and we're looking forward to welcoming more in 2025.
Thank you, Kirsten. Okay. Now we've completed the committee reports and we'll move to the voting part this evening. So we're going to have some slides. First, we have the election of non-directors to serve on the membership committee for a term of 2 years as nominated by the membership committee. The nominated candidates for these roles are listed on the screen now. They are Kirsten Barnett, Tara Favors, Sean Outler, and Karen St. Hilaire. May I have a motion to approve the slate as presented? Second? The nominations are approved. Our next votes are for the slate of new directors presented by the nominating committee. I'd like to thank Pam Craig, the most immediate past president, who served as chair of the nominating committee, and the entire committee, whose names you'll see on the screen now, for their thoughtful review of the many nominations we received. The slate of directors who are nominated to serve for a term of 3 years on the board of the Women's Forum of New York, their pictures are here now: Suba Barry, Elizabeth De Silva, Lorraine Harleton, Angie Kamath, and Elizabeth Nieto. Okay, so may I have yeah, thank you all. Okay, sounds wonderful. The candidates are now approved. Welcome to the board of the Women's Forum of New York. Okay, so now that we've adjourned the business portion of the meeting, I'm pleased to introduce our featured guest this evening. New forum member, Dr. Judith Brown Clark. She's Vice President for Equity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer for Stony Brook University and Health System. We are honored to have Dr. Judith Brown Clark with us today, whose impressive career includes athletics, politics, community outreach, and education. Dr. Clark's dedication to improving the lives of others is a testament to her unwavering commitment to public service and her drive to make a difference. Dr. Clark has experienced great athletic success in track and field. She's a 4-time national collegiate champion, a 12-time Big Ten champion while representing the United States, a 3-time Pan American Games gold medalist, and in 1984, she was the Olympic silver medalist in the 400-meter hurdles. Additionally, Judy was elected to the Lansing, Michigan City Council in 2013, where she served for 4 years. Her efforts have positively impacted countless lives, further solidifying her reputation as a dedicated and empathetic individual. And finally, She committed her time and energy to working with youth, focused on childhood obesity and fitness programs. And in 1987, Sports Illustrated selected Judy Sportswoman of the Year in their magazine for her community involvement. Need I say more? She's just a rock star. So thank you for agreeing to be our featured guest this evening. And yeah, let's have a conversation.
Thank you first of all, thank you for everyone arriving today. I know it's your annual meeting. It's chilly. You had a lot of opportunities to make excuses. And so I look forward to having this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to start at the beginning. If you could just tell us where you grew up and just how did your early environment just influence your interest in sports?
Yeah. So, I was before Title IX. And so in growing up, I had two brothers and I was a tomboy. And so what they did, I did. And I had this incredible affirmation that I could do anything. And so my mother gave me that affirmation, the women around me gave that affirmation, and I believed it. And so it didn't matter that the world was telling me who I should be. I just learned at a very early age, I had this incredible sense of self. So it's interesting on the report of mentoring and how people can kind of center you in your success and your destiny in a way in which the noise is just merely, there's always a signal in the noise. And so I think, growing up, education was extremely important. My mother was a teacher. My father was an engineer. So I am half right brain, half left brain. I'm very analytical and I'm very creative. So I can give you an algorithm and I can pick up a leaf and do a whole curriculum on it. And so I think that way in which I see the world has been very different. There's a level of tenacity in my family. My ancestors are extraordinarily loud. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but you know how you just have that incredible sense and guidance by your ancestors. And so as they squared their shoulders for me to stand, I square my shoulders for the next generation. And so I just think that my path has just been really about resilience and tenacity. Grew up in the 60s. I've seen it all. I've had, drama and trauma, and I can probably match any story that anyone has. But I make a choice. And the choice I make is to be present and to be at full capacity and to navigate the barriers and the hurdles of life.
That's amazing. And I know when we talked earlier, you mentioned about being a theorist.
Oh, I am. Yeah. I'm a game theorist.
Yes.
And
yes.
so you'll hear the athlete coming out of me. So all my performers, you will absolutely align with this. And it's not just about being an athlete. So you think, okay, you're talking about it from an elite athlete perspective. This is about someone who has performed. So whether it is in dance or music, in a choir, in the band, in the orchestra, it's all about this individual contribution to a collective outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're first chair in the orchestra or you're doing a solo versus harmonizing with the choir, you learn all those skills that apply to collective actions where there is this ultimate goal. And then you take that framing and you put it in the win. And the win, sometimes we look at it from a competitive sense. I'm talking about the win as how you describe whatever it is you're trying to reach. So what is it you're trying to reach? What are the things that, from what you can and can't control, you sort like laundry. Mm-hmm. Let it go. Sort it like laundry. So when you have that big pile of clothes, you're like light, darks, not sure, in between, lights, dark, in between. And then you start looking like, well, that really is a dark, that really is the light. But you don't spend a lot of times on things you can't control because we all have finite energy.
Absolutely.
And you have to be at full capacity to address the noise and the things that we are navigating currently,
Always.
always.
So for all the areas where you highly achieved, can you just highlight one which you're most proud of?
This will probably not make sense, but it'll make sense. I think it's like, every single one of you, you're here for a reason. There's a reason you're in this room. There's a body of work, there's a resume, the core values of who you are, the energy you exude, your brilliance, your contribution. But I think it's at the end of the day when I feel like, did I do as much as I could this day to make the world a little better?
Mm-hmm.
And so it is like, I'm not looking for these big sweeping, oh, you got an award. That's cool. All right, whatever. But it's like, did I break down a barrier for someone today? Did I, with something in front of me and I gave it everything I had that day? And it's me at practice. So when I went to practice, the reason that I ran so well is when I went to practice, I went there with full intentionality to give the best I had that day. And I do that in life. And so at the end of the day, that particular level of exhaustion is welcoming to me.
Okay, it's amazing. So when you reflect on your achievements in athletics, who or what motivated you to really succeed?
So I was before Title IX, and you have to think how people perceived women in sports. And so I am profoundly the person, if you tell me I can, I will. And so
I the type.
it is in my DNA like a character flaw. And so all the biases and the framing and you can just digress down to the taunting all the way to just things that would normally shake who you are. But the basis of the individuals that instilled in me the sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
So the sport piece really is, we used to watch National Geographic when I was little. And I was like, living in urban Milwaukee in a concrete jungle in a low socioeconomic home. But every Sunday was like the wild world of sports, and it was like, National Geographic and all these different. So I would watch and I would see the world was like on this little television, which was black and white. It's like, I look at it now and like, we've got like this, 90 huge theater screen. And I'm like, how did I watch a TV that big? Like a laptop.
The whole family.
Right. And our heads were together. And I kept thinking, if I ever have an opportunity to go there, I'm going to go. And so the beautiful thing about track, it's a no-cost sport, which means it's industrial countries and it's in developing countries. There's always a track team, there's always a track meet. And it allowed me to travel this entire world. And so there is nothing that happens in this world that I don't know someone that is directly affected. So my world is so small. And I saw and understood at a very young age entitlements, because, it's, one of the beautiful things about being able to travel globally is you step out of your privilege and you realize there's a different sense of even value of life, value of time, culture, history. Mm-hmm. And that just lights me up.
That's wonderful. We hear a lot about values in life.
Yeah.
And as someone currently involved in higher education, what are the most important values that we can share with our young people?
So I think, some of it is like the resiliency, it's the tenacity. But I think, one of the things that, I think our young people are losing their curiosity, because what they do is so finite. Mm-hmm. So think about playing a game. You only have so many directions you can do. And you only have, you have to sequentially go, so to when you sequentially do things, that life's not sequential. It's all over the dang place. And many times it loops or you're stuck there until you can go to the next. And so our critical thinking skills, our ability to work collaboratively and collectively, understanding there are some things that you individually do, and there are absolutely some things you have to do as a collective system. What is the number one thing young people will always say in school? I hate group work. That's a signal. I hate group work.
But why do you think they're saying that?
Because they don't want to do the give and take, the negotiation, the ability to see other perspectives, and possibly being open enough that there may be another perspective even more efficient than yours. And understanding and having the curiosity that there's other truths. And so when we think about, collective and the best decision making, that comes from absolutely as many perspectives, and especially when you're thinking about how do we mitigate unintended consequences. Well, if our group think has the same experience, you're not going to bring that perspective. And so you're never going to have the most robust thought. And so how do we teach that critical thinking to our young people? And how do we get them uncomfortable, comfortable? And I'm going to tell, so here's what I owe the young people I talk to. And I was like, I want you to do something every day, probably every 3 days, because young people don't shower the way they used to, right? But when you take that hot shower, and it's for you too, when you take that hot shower and you're like, oh my gosh, I ache in the morning, and you get those muscles going, the last 30 seconds of your shower, turn it cold. Turn it ice cold. Start off a little bit, because you have to acquire that.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a level of self-control. It is a level of waking up your body. I can take a shower in the morning and it's like, oh, that felt good, or I'm clean. That's better, right? But if I take that last 30 minutes and I turn that water cold, I am ready. I'm ready.
You had to get out of the shower. Yeah. Okay.
I'm ready. Right. I am that too. But it signals me.
Mhm.
And it's a signaling. And it's a signaling of, and it prepares your body for a level of discomfort that's still productive. Those are the core values we need to teach our young people.
I agree with that one.
But you're not going to do the 30 seconds of cold. No.
Well, what's interesting is that I remember years ago,
Yeah.
my father saying to someone else that he always took a cold shower in the morning. And I was young then, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why would he be taking a cold? I never understood that.
Yeah.
But you bringing it up, I can absolutely remember hearing him saying, I can't start my day without a cold shower.
I'm channeling your ancestors.
Okay. Well, here you are. Okay. So I did want to move a little bit to, we made great strides in combating racism in our society.
Yes.
And as an accomplished professional, how have you managed unspoken biases and discriminatory comments or attitudes?
So it's interesting doing this interview this week versus another week. So, but listen, there's a win in the noise. I firmly believe there is nothing larger than our collective ability to address. So let me start there. So when we think about it through our history, and I've been working in that space of DEI, whether it was called DEI,
Affirmative action.
comma, probably for the last, formally, but not with a title, for the last 35 years. And so here is where the game theory comes out. Because I think sometimes there's always a perspective of, if there's any intentionality on one, it feels like there's an omission of others. The opposite of inclusion is exclusion. And so I'm going to answer this in two delicate ways, but I hope this framing will help you strategically through what may feel very weighty right now. So I'm going to start off with, one of the things that it is a criticism, and rightfully so, that we have not been very good storytellers about the intentionality of ensuring that everyone's needs are met, because the most high-performing organization is an environment where you bring your best self every day, the best version of what you have. Sometime you're at 90, sometime you're at 15. It doesn't matter, but you're going to give the best of what you have that day. That's DEI. And the way you do the best of what you have each day, it means I know who you are. I know what you need. I know the affirmation that you need. I know you need to be leveraged. You need to be heard. You need to be valued. You need to be shared governance. You need to be part of the decision making. All those things are DEI. DEI doesn't have faces and it doesn't have heartbeats. DEI, I'm going to say it again. DEI does not have faces and heartbeats. It is our policies. It is our practices. It is our protocols, our laws, things that are regulatory. If we're doing those things in the most inclusive ways, in the most equitable and fair ways, and meeting the needs of who we're serving, we will see diversity, we will see equity, and we will see that level of accessibility and so on. And so how do we weave it in our governance, shared governance system and our decision making? So now I'm going to go to the second point. It isn't about DEI. It's about changing systems of power. Just sit in that for a minute. It's about changing systems of power. Please, somebody enlighten me. Who in power has ever just handed it over? You take it. Mm-hmm. And most people you're going to have to take it hard. So if you want this power, come get it. That is now. And so as we look at that changing systems of power, we're at that point where no one's giving that power up. That's a strategy. And so if we collectively want this more equitable, fair, and inclusive power, don't get mad, get even, get strategize. And it has to be co-created. Don't think about, it's going to be covert. We're going to figure this thing out over here. It doesn't work. It is not going to work. If you look at the demographics and you look at the polls, look at those numbers, get out of that echo chamber of people that are giving you affirmation that just being covert works. It doesn't. If you hear that, you're in an echo chamber, and you need to have some other diverse conversations. And you need to sit down with people that have absolute opposite perspectives than you, and a way in which you're doing empathetic listening. So you're not listening for affirmation. You're not listening to have a debate. You are just listening to learn. And it has to be win-win. So how do you win and I win? And what's that negotiation? But right now we're like, I don't like where you are. You don't like where I am. We're at a standoff. No one wins. And so you have to win. I have to win. Let's negotiate. That's what's missing right now. We have to negotiate within our.
Well, with you on the case, I'm sure it's happening.
Oh, we're on it.
I'm sure.
And every one of you are on it.
Yes. So I did want to just ask this last question. As an educator committed to excellence in education, obviously, and a former athlete, I'd like to just hear your thoughts about the current student athletes receiving compensation and the ability to transfer at will.
Yeah. So we know we are very clumsy at correction, right? So we tend to overcorrect. And then so there's So we're in an overcorrection right now. And so when we think about athletes, many times, we tend to think about athletes that have full scholarships. That's very few. They're usually male sports, male revenue sports. That's just like usually basketball, football, hockey, maybe baseball. Other than that, they're non-revenue sports. Those majority of the thousands, tens of thousands of athletes, they're not getting any money. They're not getting scholarships. They may get partial scholarship. Maybe they get some tuition, room and board, books, fees, things like that. And so when you're competing, you may have practice twice a day. So you don't have an ability to work. And if we think about social mobility and the opportunity for individuals to get up, to break generational legacies, then how do we resource student athletes? Even if you're on full scholarship, you're like, well, you're on full scholarship. Well, that's cool, but I can't work. So I'm on full scholarship, which pays for my room and board, my books and fees. Do you need deodorant? Did you want to go to the movies? Everybody has a cell phone. Not everybody's parent pays their cell phone. You have zero income. Right. And so the intention of this was to make it fair, not only for revenue, but for non-revenue sports, so that everyone had an opportunity. Plus, it keeps you, if you're making, why do you go to college? Because you want to have economic stability, right? So if there's an opportunity to have some level of income, you're going to complete your degree. So the number of students that don't complete their degree is high. So if you're resourced, you're going to complete your degree because your needs are being met and you have an income. Now, what has happened is it has swung and been monetized. And so actually it's at the point where athletes are commodities. Yeah, they're getting paid. And you have a lot of young people, but it's a very small percentage of young people that are making these large amounts of dollars. So just know that 95% are getting a little bit of money. And so what it does is as it starts to right size, and the same thing in the portal, I can just leave when I want to. Well, a young person, you look at them wrong, like, I don't like your tone, I'm leaving. Oh boy. So, but it's not in their best interest because we talked about mentors. And if you jump around, you don't have a mentor.
It's too disruptive.
It's so disruptive. And it's disruptive in your matriculation for your degree. It's disruptive in faculty and staff that would mentor you and open the door and nominate you for awards and sponsor you going to conferences because no one knows you.
That's right.
And so it will right size because it has definitely swung, too far. It will right size, and as it right size, it will be fair and equitable. It isn't now.
Thank you so much, Judy.
Sure.
Spending time with us this evening. So Judy's going to be with us during the cocktail reception. If you have questions, she's all yours. Thank you again. And
Thank you.
we're so happy to have
My
you
pleasure.
as our new member.
Thank you.